So many Roblox games used to be super popular, but slowly faded away and were forgotten. Today, I'll be going over some of these and stay tuned to see if you remember any. Let's start with a genre that used to be massive, Hangout Games. Trade Hangout has over 100 million visits, but only a few hundred active at its peak, and I think a lot of this has to do with people not spending too much time in the game anymore, in combination with the trading community also dying. With the releases of UGC Limiteds and other potential updates, the trading scene is suffering, although it is still played by a passionate community to trade rare items. The same can be said, however, for a classic style of games called Boys and Girl Hangout, which in itself can be its own genre. There are so many reiterations of this concept, and so many of the games have 10 to 20 million, if not more, visits, but only like 50 to 100 people playing them. And the reason for this is probably just because the games are outdated, and most of them just drop and never regularly update, and there's so much better roleplay games out there, like Brookhaven for example. A lot of these games also revolve around admin commands, which 90% of the time just get abused and makes it not fun for everyone. And speaking of admin commands, we can also bring up Life in Paradise. Almost 75 million visits with around 60 to 70 people active. We can literally apply the same reasons to this game. It's outdated, admin commands get abused, and it doesn't hold up like it used to. There's nothing special about it anymore. And also, you might recognize this map since it's been reused a million times for other games. The game now almost serves as a template rather than its own unique thing, which all in combination led to the game just completely fading away. Although it is kind of iconic to be fair. Another game or genre of games was water park games. These games were massive a few years ago, a lot of them having 70 million visits or more, but not much active. And I think the main reason for this is just that a lot of them got super boring. Like a few years ago, this concept was super fresh and the mechanics were special, but now with how much Roblox has evolved, a lot of them are still using the same mechanics, so it just feels boring. The platform leveled up a lot, but these games didn't. To be fair, there's still a few hundred playing some of them at their peak, but they just don't hold up like they used to. But next overall genre, we have simulator games. Back in like 2016 to 2018, simulator games exploded. You could literally make a simulator on anything and it would just blow up. It would get millions of visits, YouTubers would flock to play it, and it's overall just booming. But after that spike, a lot of super popular ones just died out. Like Poop Scoop Simulator is a funny example. The randomest and dumbest concept, but it got 16 million visits, although not much active now. This game was massive on YouTube though. So many YouTubers played it and it got millions of views. Like I said, you could make a simulator on anything back then and it would do well. Dinosaur Simulator was also one of the biggest simulators back in 2016, having an impressive 267 million visits, but not as popular as it once was. Still a few hundred to be fair though, but back in the day it was so much more popular. Another one that you might remember is Cleaning Simulator. I feel like every YouTuber and their mom played this one, because Cleaning Simulator was a very unique game with a very unique gameplay style. That's why it became so popular. 52 million overall visits. And I think the game simply just got old. It had its time in the sun, but people got bored and moved on. Sometimes that's how it goes. But next we have story games, starting with the extremely popular Smiles Family or Smiles Family Household. Now this one's a bit unique. The game was pretty popular with 7.1 million visits, but not much active now. And there's a good reason for this one. Firstly, the Smiles Family gained popularity through YouTubers, especially Albert. And since a lot of people already experienced the story through Albert, they didn't want to play it for themselves. They just waited for Albert or anyone else to keep covering it. Also, another big thing is that the Smiles Family would often do special stuff for YouTubers in their videos, so you couldn't play what the other YouTubers are doing, which is why some of the YouTube videos today have more views and visits of the game. They essentially delivered their story through YouTubers, which led to not much people playing the actual game or coming back to it. Another popular story game was The Guest, with almost 20 million visits. And this applies to every story game, but once people play the story, they don't have much replayability. People play the story and forget about the game. Even with new updates, people just play the update and leave. That's the only problem with story games on Roblox. A lot of players just play once, or maybe a few times and they're done with the game. And I feel like a lot of this can apply to our next genre of horror games, because a lot of horror games on the platform are structured like story games, which as I just explained, makes them not have much replayability. Like if you look at one of the most popular horror games right now, Doors, it has replayability. You play a bunch of rounds since you're randomized, there's new rooms to discover, new items and more. But with the story, once the story is told, you don't want to hear it over and over again. So games like It Lurks and The Mirror, also like Hotel, which has 300 million visits, and The Mates has almost 220 million visits. All super popular games but have died out over time, which leads us right into our last genre of classic games and other games. Starting with one of the biggest, if not the biggest game in this video, Veichle Simulator. 656 million visits but only a few hundred active. And I think this is just because the game got a bit old and outdated. The game was popular having some of the best driving mechanics and real models, but now, with all the competition, there's so many games out there that have better models and better mechanics. I think there's also a lack of updates for a while, which has a lot of players slowly leaving. And next is Juke's Tower of Hell, with almost 20 million visits, but only a few hundred active, which isn't that bad, but not as hype as they used to. And overall, I feel like hard obbies are kind of dying in general. A lot of people now, if they can't be an obby, they just dislike it and leave, but there is and probably always going to be a community for them. What games did I miss though, and did you remember any of these? Let me know and check out this video for more dead Roblox games. See you in the next one.